Beware the fury of the truly patient. Pushed beyond restraint, a reluctant master unleashes the storm within. Baruuk the Somber Dove is now. Alright punks, let's get into this Baruuk build. Our first Baruuk build is a 4-forma build named the Somber Dove. Starting from the top left to right, we have Corrosive Projectile, Handspring, Primed Continuity, Overextend at 9, Stretch, Fleeting Expertise, Quick Thinking, Transient Fortitude, Umbra Intensify, and Equilibrium. The arcanes we chose are Arcane Energize and Arcane Fury. We chose these mods because of the way they work with the Somber Dove. For instance, we want to have the duration at 68%, which gives the lull ability to have a duration of the first effect to only be 3 seconds. The sleep duration is still 13 seconds. You still have the ability to cast it, and within 3 seconds the enemies are pretty much asleep, giving you the window to go for a finisher. Range being at 205 gives Elude an angle of 360 degrees, meaning that no damage can get into you. You get this ability at 200% range, so 205 is perfect for this, and we're only using 2 mod slots for it. With the duration being so low but the efficiency so high, the energy a second is 1.5 for Elude, so that's really not that bad. We chose Transient Fortitude and Umbra Intensify because that puts our power strength high enough that our damage reduction, which maxes out on his Searing Storm at 40%, our build is at 39%, so as close as you can get to it. As for Desolate Hands, you get a good damage reduction of 90 points per blade, and area damage of 395 from the explosion when it deals damage and destroys the enemy's guns. With this build, you'll be able to get 12 daggers. Now with this build, we are running our Death Cube with Sweeper Prime combo. This build has Sith Fiber, Sith Deconstruct, and Energy Generator. This keeps Baruuk get a lot of energy. We're going to change out the Death Cube for a different companion for our next loadout though. As for Desert Hands for this build, we're running Prime Pressure, Prime Fury, Berserk, Prime Fever Strike, Spoiled Strike, Shocking Touch, Sacrificial Steel, and Guardian Derision. This gives you Impact at 381, Puncture at 383, Slash 383, and Corrosive 3685. It does have a 10% status, which procs occasionally, but I see a larger damage numbers with this build with that Prime Fever Strike and Shocking Touch. I'm also running Berserk on here to counter the Spoiled Strike speed reduction. So this build is very quick with a critical chance of 94%. As for weapons, we're using the Sheave. This build is designed to use the Sleep ability, putting enemies to sleep, and then doing executions. We're also running Pox as a secondary, which works really well. When you throw these, Pox Cloud occurs, you're not considered attacking, so Elude is still active, which is really great for this frame. For our primary, we're running the Arcaplasmor, set for Radiation and Corrosive. This pretty much eliminates anybody who's in our way. Another mod that you might have noticed is Quick Thinking. The reason we have this mod in here is for the staggering effect if he takes too much damage. Usually that will kill normal frames, but when he takes enough damage to trigger Quick Thinking and the staggering effect, Baruuk will stagger, which means he won't be attacking, and it seems that he becomes completely immune because Elude kicks back in. So the staggering actually seems to work really well with Quick Thinking. That's why I moved away from Pain Threshold and went with Handspring, where he's going to be into close combat with his finisher kills. I wasn't liking how he kept falling over and dealing with stuff, so Handspring keeps him in the action. Also, falling is just never really fun, so he's really quick. We have Equilibrium to gain energy and to keep a little bit of health coming, and Fleeting Expertise and Transient Fortitude to lower the duration but give us strength and move our efficiency up. If you wanted to build this build without primed mods, you could use Continuity instead of Primed Continuity, and Intensify instead of Umbra Intensify. Our second build is Morning Dove. This build is designed more for long engagements and slower combat, mostly solo, long game kind of idea here. We replaced Fleeting Expertise with Prime Flow. Lull's duration is 6 seconds, so you're going to have to cast that and then wait just a little bit more in case you want to cast it again. But the sleep duration goes up to 25.5 seconds. Energy on Elude goes up to almost 2, and everything else kind of stays the same. This build, again, is for long, solo kind of missions. And when we run this build, we're going to switch out the Death Cube for the Prisma Shade, and this is the build we're going to be using for that. Alright, punks, let's give this Baruuk a test in the Simi-Locker.
Also, guys, I'd like to remind everybody we have a Discord channel where we talk a lot about Warframe. The link is in the cards and the description below.
Alright, punks, enemy level 150. We got a corrupted army we're sending after this Baruuk. Simulate. And we're going to take this nice and slow because he is a pacifist. First thing we're going to do is cast our Elude and Rule. This is going to put enemies to sleep, as you can see. Once we remove their weapons with Desolate Hands, we can then start moving in. We're going to move in for assassinations with the Sheave, picking on bigger targets like Bombards and Heavy Gunners. Get them nice and close to us so we can get the max reduction of Baruuk's Restraint. Removing weapons, pick the targets we want, and then go in there for that Sheave. Now we're going to have to take out this Ancient because he's really messing up the system. I'm going to put him back to sleep. Whoa, almost got it there. And just execute him with the Archoplasmor. Again, sleep, more assassinations. Moving into the smaller guys, they're really not much of a threat. And now we're going to switch into our Searing Storm and finish off the Nullifier from behind the wall. And finish off those few little guys. And now let's take out this guy with a nice assassination. See you later. That's how you do it, using all the 4 abilities. Enemy 150. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.